Yeah, man, Justin Bieber, man, he's a big time hypocrite, man. It's this spell work that he's doing. Yeah, I don't respect him because, you know, when women give birth and they have their children and whatever God assigned for that child, you know, just to not to sit around and be watching black people so hard like this. He thinks that he thinks that my life is his life. What kind of stupidity is this? It's a life from the pits of hell. You can't see the boy's an idiot. And now he was on Twitch. He had a whole Twitch thing. And looks like he deleted it to go run off to Japan. The boy is confused. And the reason why he's doing that is because he's a damn liar. That's the reason why he's doing that. Because he knows it's lies, not the truth. It's so frustrating when you have children and you have this little stupid kid in Hollywood trying to copy your life. It look like you're trying to copy my kid's life now. Justin, you're a damn blooming idiot. You know that? He needs to go get lost, man. It's just when you get to the point where the assignment or the mission or the purpose that God sent him out to do or fulfill, he needs to accept when it's finished, when it's over. Nothing lasts forever. And he's sitting there he's still trying to sit around and try and sacrifice us because he wants to stay in Hollywood. Time's up, Justin. You need to go get lost. It was just one cycle, with the Turkic cycle of the Turkic kid. There was a cycle. I said it's over now. He needs to go get lost. There's other people. It's so sickening when he's doing it. Yo, Justin, man, you're a disgrace, man. Justin Bieber, you're a big disgrace. I'm the one to tell you this. You're damn out of order. You've been crossed the line many times over. Many, many, many times over. You're trying to be the black mother, me, and look like he's trying to be my son now. You can't be me, you can't be my son, Justin. You can't pose up yourself in Hollywood like this, man. This is the type of racism I don't like it. Just like when people hear the women, they have children, and however God ordained that child's life to be, ain't got nothing to do with Justin Bieber. You and your voodoo and your witchcraft and your magic, you are wicked. I keep telling the fool he's not Japanese. Why you take flight down to Japan for? I said he's not a ninja. Yes, Jamaican people. Yes, we are Japanese. Justin, get the hell. You're not us, man. Get lost, man. The boy's so jealous of who we are. Jamaican people, we're Asian people. Jamaican people, we have aspects to we're Asian. Okay? Look at this boy over here in Hollywood. Oh, let's take a flight to Japan. Yeah. And trying to sell your clothing and all kind of crap. It's not true. It's not his destiny. I don't like it. Just like, this new generation, the generations kind of mix up. But let's say there was one kid and he was like Japanese, black. Let's say he was African. Let's say he was native. Those aspects is what it helps you to balance yourself when you know who you are. Justin, you cannot be me and you cannot be my child. You cannot. What my life consists of, it does not have to do with Justin. You're a liar. You did voodoo. He's not bright. I'm gonna tell you the truth why he's not bright because it looks like he was consulting a lot of these practitioners, because I guess he wanted the realms or he wanted the pathways coming out of Canada. Justin, I am one individual. what I represent, it doesn't represent the pathways out of Canada. I represent myself. And that's why you cannot be me in this lifetime. You weren't born as me, and you need to get lost. He's so stupid, man. And he's still stalking me. That's the most disgusting part about this. Remember when I posted this? When did I start posting on YouTube? I started posting YouTube about Justin Bieber from that's 2025. From 2022. That's when I started posting about this. You imagine almost like 4 years pass, and when you look back at the situation, what's going on? He's still stalking. He's still stalking me for my life. That's how dumb he is. It reminds me of, growing up. I remember growing up in high school, and then because I used to play sports, so we used to travel to other schools to compete to play games, and then we used to be in the change room, changing into our outfits, and then I remember walking in the hallways of these old schools, and then you see all the people on the wall, a graduate of 1983, a graduate class of 1984, graduate class 1985, graduate class of 1986, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91. Remember that? I used to put all the classes on the wall. I used to be intrigued. I said, oh man, like look how many generations went through this school, you know? And then when I think about this Justin case here, it's not like that. This era, it's like God. I think this is the era. I think, to be honest with you, I feel like it was just some of these liberal policies that made God change his mind when it comes to this era. How it was just too many people repeating the same thing, and society can't sustain it anymore. So it's just like I feel like this was the era where God said, "No more, no more of that." Yeah. So I don't. Justin, um, is like he's definitely targeting me because I am a singer. You know, so it's like he figures, well, she's a singer. I sing some songs. Well, I need her perspective to keep up with what I'm trying to do. That you just lost your credibility. Anyone who thinks like that is just like you're not creative enough to even be able to piece your own music or your own ideas, your own creativity. It means tell me you always needed somebody, Justin. You're not it, man. Not it. No, not it. He's like I've been talking about it for a long time. He's a disturbance. He's disturbing me. I'm just not that generation for him. Even from I remember early '90s when I graduated out of high school, and then when you graduate out of high school, and then that day you sit down with your school counselor. I remember the counselor used to take out your high school whatever courses you completed, your high school you didn't okay whatever how many years you already completed. They would sit you down and say, oh well, you got a 70 in English, and you got a 89 in mathematics, and you got a 55 in science. And then they say, oh, what you got, like 98% in gym class. Okay. Based on your marks out of high school, the school counselor starts to, sit you down and say, okay, what type of what are you interested in, and what type of field you like, and what do you want to strive to be. Or there were some good counselors, and then there used to be some mean ones. You know what I mean? But anyway, the point is, you go sit down with that counselor, and then you go home, and you have to have conversations with your parents about what you're gonna do after high school. So it's like, how do I get from that point to the point where I have some random white kid stalking me in 2025? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to me. He doesn't come from, it's like, I remember back, you know what? It had to do with every system. Just like back in the day, if you used to go into a legal clinic or a doctor's office, or you'd go in any system, you can go into an insurance office and you'd see the people's face on the wall, and all their whatever they achieved, and whatever they are, whatever designation they're assigned to, it's all on the wall with their picture. You know, so how did my life get from graduating high school and then taking courses and then working to the point where Justin Bieber is stalking me? Something is wrong. Something along the way went wrong. Think about, like, okay, let's say if you're a doctor and then you're in the practice for 20 years, and then you wanted to take on some new doctors out of the college or the university. So you take in like two co-op or two internship or whatever, two of them. You take them into your office, and then they'll be shadowing you, learning the ropes of the system, of the medical office, and all that stuff, procedures, da da da, da, right? But at the end of the day, you had that relationship with those two people that you hired on, and then that would be their experience, so they know, yeah, back in like 2005, I used to work for Dr. Chair, and yeah, I was there in his office, and we did an internship for 6 months, and yeah, he was great, da, 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 da. You have that experience, the doctor has that experience. And then from there, because you gained experience, you're like, well, because of Dr. Chair, I was able to get a job in, this clinic or whatever down the road. But then, like, I remember, oh, the receptionist was there, and then there was like two or three other nurses. Her name was this, and this, and this, and this. You're gaining memories, right? But when I look back to my life from the time I graduated high school up to this minute, I don't know Justin. Like, I've never actually met this person in my life. There was never any type of face to face interaction. I've never even been in the same building as this kid. But for some other reason, he feels as if, like, oh, I need to stalk her out of a generation. It doesn't make any sense. Where was my face, Justin? Huh? Beyond you doing voodoo on me, trying to tap into things that had nothing to do with you. I'm talking about out of Canada. How do you know me? Where was my face in Canada? Where was it? Where were you when it comes to living in Canada? Where were you, Justin? You were nowhere to be found. So why are you in Hollywood, like, making all these big claims as if you know me when you don't know me? You're not the generation after me to take on certain roles. What the hell? He's just an entity attachment. He can't be found. There's no recollection. Justin. Oh yeah, I remember that black girl. She used to work. I remember she used to work downtown near the mall. She used to work in that government building. Yeah, I remember her. And she had a kid with her. Yeah, I remember that girl. She used to drive that SUV. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I remember her. D- d- Did Justin Bieber develop those memories coming out of Canada? No. So how dare you come all the way to Hollywood trying to assume that, oh yeah, yeah, I'm the next heir to whatever this black girl achieved. No, you're not. This is very serious. He made some big claims in Hollywood. And when it come down to the nitty gritty, were you in those roles? Was your name in certain businesses or certain corporations? No, your name wasn't there, Justin. This is a very serious issue with this generation of liars, man. My God. I finished drinking my hot water. I'm just waiting for my stomach to digest. I ate too much food today. I kind of regret it. Don't you hate when you eat too much food and you're just like, oh my God, I'm gonna skip like breakfast and lunch tomorrow, and then I'll probably just nibble on a little bit of food for dinner, so I don't get weak. But I just ate way too much. Yeah, so this is an issue with Justin. And then you have a generation after you're in a relationship with someone, you have children, and then there's the next generation afterwards. He can't assume himself to be the next generation out of me. It's a big problem, a big, big, huge problem. I guess it's to the point where they're just trying to. They don't take they don't take certain professions seriously enough because everyone was just pursuing. They weren't actually fulfilling their calling. They're just in certain roles because they wanted money. That's really sad now because that's the reason why like society God is not repeating certain things out of certain systems anymore. You know what I mean? So the generations are just gonna have to find another way. There's gonna have to be another way of doing things. So a lot of the old ways is done. It makes sense, because I watch the videos online and there's a lot of people online complaining about how like why just because you're here in the USA or you're just here in North America, like why are you saying that you're us? Why are you trying to claim certain work or certain professions when you obviously that's not your heritage. You didn't come from a lineage of doctors or nurses or anything like that, but you're making all these big claims like you're us. This is what's messing up society, and Justin Bieber, he's a part of that problem. It's too much mix up. It's just too much confusion. I remember back in the day, society used to be very, very clear. You know, back in the day, used to go into those mental hospitals back in the day. I used to sit there with the psychologist, and then we used to have these big discussions like, oh, my mother, my grandmother, and then her mother, and her mother, and her mother, they were this and this and this and this and that. It kind of, when you look back to what your parents did, it's the same as a reflection of who you are in this reality too. Oh, I remember my dad. He used to do this and this and this and this and this. And then because that's my dad used to teach my other brother how to do this and this and this. So because of that, he ended up opening up his own business, and now his whole family they all work in that business. Life was very clear back in the day, but now there's so much confusion. It's these stupid liberal policies, stupid liberal policies from the early 2000s. Telling telling men they can be women and women can be men. It really messed up society. It's sad because I look back and I remember working, and once you're working in the field, you're doing a specific task. You get that idea. You're like, oh, this I could make a if I wanted to make this part of life easier, I could make this product or that product. Or, I remember I used to work in a dental office, and we used to work with those ultrasonic cleaners. And I'm just like, yeah, I can do this, or I can do that, I can do that. Okay, I have this way of handling it, that way of handling this situation. That's where all these little inventions and stuff. But now, now you can't even. You have narcissists like Justin Bieber sitting around waiting like a narcissist, waiting to see if whatever you're doing, just waiting, sitting on, hanging around, hacking into someone's phone, waiting for an idea, waiting. This is ridiculous. It should be illegal. Justin, he hacked my phone so much to the point where he should be banned from using cell phones. The way how he abused communications, he should be banned. All the major cell phone companies should tell him no. Or go back to a landline. He's too abusive. He's just not too bright. I don't think people should feel sorry for people like that. You know what I mean? I used to work around children, and sometimes I used to, you sit back and you observe a child, right? That was a part of the job. We had to do that. But the whole point was like getting the child to explore and figure out who he is. Let the child be himself. I remember there were some kids. Some kids used to be obsessed with blocks. Some kids used to be obsessed with cars. Some little girls obsessed with hair. Some kids obsessed with food. Some kids they loved water. Some kids love sand. You know, be yourself. Oh no, oh no. But like I said, Justin, he's a part of the book coming out of the Romans, the book of Romans. If you can look up the book of Romans on the Bible app, or if you have a Bible, open up the book of Romans, and if you can read Romans chapter 16, the whole book. That's what Justin. That's how Justin Bieber. That's how he operates. His mentality. Romans 16. What he represents in this lifetime, in this existence, is of a Greek narcissist. It's in the Bible. It talks about it. It's Romans 16. Yeah. But obviously, you know, I remember back in the day we used to start. I remember I used to love history class. Well, we used to always learn. They used to teach back in the day when they used to teach. They used to really teach history. Hold on. Sometimes I take vitamins and I don't drink enough water, and then a little grit gets in your throat. And you need to drink water, and you're so lazy to do it, but I'll do it anyway. Hold on 1 second. I just had to drink a little water. Yeah. So yeah, back in the day when they used to teach history, they used to really teach history. They used to teach history. But now, like I said, there's this whole liberalism. It just got in the way, and just too much mix up, too much confusion, too much blah 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 blah. And it's like, okay, that may be somebody's opinion, but it's still fair for people to know the truth. It's still fair. People should know the truth, even though whatever people have their ways of how they want to live, whatever. The truth still should still be the same. But like I said, how society is now, I feel like people just took it too far. You know what I mean? Only people who are true to God, those are the only people who could evolve out of whatever was going on. Everybody else, not my business, not my business at all. Yeah, so it's disturbing. Like I came out of class of 1999 out of high school. Yeah, it was class of 1999. And then from then, I went to school in Canada. I took courses in Canada. Justin is not a part of my generation, generationally, when it comes to how we used to do things back in the day. He just wasn't there. He wasn't in the loop. We used to live in a community where there's elementary school, and there's middle schools, and then there's high schools. We never By the time you reach middle school, the only way you'd have a connection with your elementary school is if you had siblings that went to elementary school. You know what I mean? But generally, by the time you get to middle school, you're more focused on high school, right? So basic, what I'm trying to say is like, if Justin was in the community where like, okay, if I was in high school, he's 10 years younger than me, so he would have been in elementary school. How would I know who? How the only way I would have known of him is if he lived around in the neighborhood, and maybe you would have seen his mother or his child around the place, or if you see them at the grocery store, things like that. I don't. There's no memory of Justin, none. There's no memory of Justin Bieber. There was never a time he's from Stratford, Ontario. That's the western side of Ontario in Canada. You know what I mean? So we used to live close to the not too far from the airport, like an hour away from the airport. That's where we used to live. So I'd never been to Stratford ever in my life. I've been there. We don't know those people. I don't know anybody from Stratford, Ontario. None. We just don't know those people. We don't know those Beavers. We don't know them. I don't know them. Nobody in my family knows them. The only way that we would have known them is from when YouTube just started, early 2000, when that guy Mark Zuckerberg or whatever. No, no, no. It started with Facebook first, and then Facebook got really, really popular. And then when Facebook started to get funny, and then people didn't want to have their Facebook accounts anymore. And then that time, it was early 2000s when they introduced YouTube. And then he was in the Baptist church or whatever. And then there was a time when Usher discovered him. You know what I mean? And that time, what was I doing at that time? That was when 2010. Yeah, I think it was 2010. Okay, I know. I was working at that time. At that time, I was working and I was in school. 2010, I was working. Yeah, I was just working. I was working in Canada. That's what I was doing. I was working my 9 to 5. Yeah. So by that time, he was over here in LA. We didn't know those people. The only way I knew Justin is when we went online, on YouTube, and you saw him. Because I used to listen to Usher. I used to watch all his videos. Okay. So because we used to listen to watch Usher, and then it's when Usher introduced Justin. That's how we knew who he was. Beyond Usher, we don't know him. We don't know Justin. I've been saying this for a very long time. I don't know him. So it's just weird how he would make these big claims here in Hollywood as if like, oh yeah, I know this girl and she was in this role and I'm her and yeah, we're the same people. We're not the same people, Justin. He's trying to base society off of like, when it deals with somebody's Jewish rights, right? And then he's trying to base it off of like, the whole point of God in the end. It talks in scripture talks about it like, the Jews were supposed to connect, right? But not the way how Justin Bieber's trying to go about this whole situation. It's not the way God didn't intend for Jewish people to connect the way how Justin Bieber's trying to do me wrong. It was supposed to be something positive, don't you think? It's starting to hurt my head. Yeah, if you look at the old history books, it's coming out of Israel. That's what they used to. If you look, they have documentaries of the black Germans who had to deal with racism back in the day, and it's just that's the same energy that is projecting out with Justin Bieber. How they used to treat us. Yeah, But for him, I just feel like he's a disgusting person because, like, why would you? It's like he still has it in his mind. It's a blood ancestral. At this point, it's transgression. That's the way I see it. It's a blood ancestral transgression of trying to fulfill that, out of his blood, that hatred out of his blood. He's absolutely out of line for what he did already. Oh my god. It's absolutely disgraceful what he did. So crazy, man. So crazy, 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 crazy. Yep, yep, yep. Oh my god, I feel so much better just drinking some water after you eat and just like waiting for your food to digest. Like it feels so good, eh? Feels so good. hmm I don't know. This place is. I don't know about this place right now. Still, there's an issue. Like they like to sit with some of them sitting around in the dark. Like that's just weird to me. Even if I'm sleeping at night, like I don't necessarily have all the lights turned off. Like you'd either have a light in the hallway on or you'd have a night light or something. I don't necessarily sleep totally in the dark. So that to me that's weird. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I can't believe like COVID is still going around. That's crazy. Wow, that's some crazy mess. Crazy. What the hell is COVID still going around for? God. Anyway, Justin, yeah, you should be ashamed of yourself for thinking that you were the next heir to what I accomplished in my life. That's a lie. There's too much delusion. No, I didn't pave the way for you to come here and try and break down the details of my life and attack me. That doesn't make any sense. I think he's in the wrong profession, eh? Justin needs to leave Hollywood and go join the military. You chose wrong. A Justin kid. No way. No way. No way. I just feel like it's kind of insulting, when it comes to God and his people. We're talking about certain bloodlines out of the Bible, and then we have certain aspects to us. And to Justin to try and overstep God's boundaries like that, trying to say, well, those people that came out of that part of Scripture, God said that they're this, and this, and this, and this, and this, and this, and they're tied to this, and this, and this, and this country. And just because Justin doesn't like his part of the Bible, he wants to be another part of the Bible. And he feel like that's his destiny. That's a lie. It's a lie. We don't want these connections. I remember growing up in Toronto. Like Toronto's an awesome city. It was like honestly, I'm just thinking about back in the day. It was just such an awesome city. And I remember they have a lot of vintage shops. So we used to go to those vintage shops and used to find some like really unique items from like 1980s or the 1990s. We used to buy like Doc Martens and like those leather bomber jackets and some real cool, unique items. And man, when it was time on Friday night, it was time to go clubbing, man. Oh my god, like those are some good memories back in the day. Those are awesome memories. you know, when you used to go drive around, you go pick up all your friends. You go to one friend's house and you be hanging in your friend's house and you're in the friend's living room, or you guys will be all up in her room, you're all getting ready and stuff, and then we'll all go out. And you tell your mom, okay, yeah, we're going out, we're going here, we're going there. And she's like, make sure you don't get our car stolen. Make sure you get back by 12 o'clock. And if you can't get back, make sure you call. And anything, just make sure you're calling. And we used to go clubbing, man. Oh, man. But we used to go party. Man, those were the times. Those were the days, man. And not everybody was your friend back in the day. That's one thing. Not every. Just like I don't know Justin Bieber. Like, not everybody was your friend. Everything was like you'd had to have permission to talk to certain people or to be a part of groups and stuff like that. It wasn't people just trying to infiltrate other people. People need to bring that. That needs to come back in society again. People need to start having respect for one another. So yeah. Anyway, that's my rant tonight. And like I said, it's an unfortunate event. Things had to turn this way, but this is the truth about it. I was never just to the destiny. That's a lie. We have, like I said, from the time you graduate high school, you have that freedom. So, and everyone, I remember back in the day, like everybody, sometimes I used to have some friends that used to go take those, like, those short term college courses. And then if some people got job out of it, they would stay in the job, or some people would stay in the job, but it never paid enough. So like, oh, I'm gonna leave this and I'm gonna go into this job because I want to start a family and I need more money. And da 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 da. Da. Okay, cool. The point is that we had freedom. Or sometimes some people used to work in a job and it's like I can't do it anymore. Like it's too hard. Like I'm just gonna go and do this job now. Like I cannot do what I was doing anymore. You know. Or I'm gonna leave this job. I'm gonna stay home and do this whatever, 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 because I have my kids and blah 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 blah. Okay, but the point is that we had freedom. When things used to fall off, there was always something there to catch the issue. Always, there was always somebody there or some way out of the problem. But when you have people like Justin trying to confuse society, there's no clarity. So how do you expect people to get out of their issue? How? How? Especially now that we left an era. Now we're going into a new era. It's not going to be society is not going to be based on how he's thinking right now. He's not the future. God is the one that knows the future. And like I think about, okay, when Michael Jackson was in Hollywood and he used to travel. I remember Michael Jackson used to travel to Moscow. He used to travel to all different places all over Africa, and he's there God used him to show the light of what was really going on in those countries. So I know God would never try to hide me and then put Justin to go. He wouldn't do that to us. God wouldn't do that to us. If God wanted me to present his kingdom to society, he would have brought the real person. He wouldn't have brought a fake person to do that type of job. You know what I mean? It shows because Justin, he's if you didn't walk the walk and you didn't talk the talk, then you don't have the experience. Experience was everything. Memory was everything. You can't manipulate your way and then expect people to respect you if you're using really evil tactics like voodoo and all kind of weird, you're talking with dead people and all kind of stuff. You're not God. That's not respectable. That doesn't represent God. You can't even represent God if that's what you're doing in society. And then I think I remember. Okay, I remember, and I used to live in Toronto. I used to live downtown Toronto, And then over there in certain areas, that's where the younger generation of the Turkic kids, a lot of them lived in Toronto. You know what I mean? But it's just, it still falls into that issue out of like trauma, and then you're just not wanting to make any effort or put any effort or just even like learn to just humble yourself and just learn to unlearn certain things. That was the challenge going on over there when I was living in Toronto around people like Justin, like those Turkic people. That's what was going on there. So they just a lot of substance abuse, drugs, and then that's it. Like beyond that, I mean, people would give people some time, but after a while, it's just like, okay, it's a lost cause. Like you could you could present every resource in front of that person, and they're just not willing to humble themselves or just even face that reality of like, whatever is going on in their mind. It's just like a lost cause. That's what it was. That's what was going on. you know but then there were some Turkic kids. There were some Turkic kids. They did go to school. I'm talking about in Canada. They did go to school, and they did achieve something. You know what I mean? I seen it with my own two eyes. And a lot of them, they weren't homeless. Like they used to put them in those A lot of them were aged out of foster care, so they used to be in those houses. They used to have apartments designated for kids who aged out of foster care. They used to be like, 3-story brownstones or duplexes, and they used to have a whole bunch of rooms in them, and then they used to rent those rooms to the foster kids. And that was kind of good because um, as soon as you're 18, you know for a fact what buildings that they're in, and you and your friends or whatever. It's kind of a comfort thing. They can all go live together. That was a good thing. But I mean, some people, they just like to abuse resources, and after they abuse the resources, there's nothing that you can do. And that was the situation with people like Justin. That's the situation I'm dealing with right now with him. I'm not his resource, and I'm not a person to abuse when it comes to like my purpose, like my whole reason for like why I even exist on this earth. I'm not a person for him to abuse, you know? Yeah, so I used to live around I lived in a building with some of the Turkic kids of the generation out of Canada, and it wasn't a good experience. Oh hell no, it wasn't a good experience. It's a issue with them dealing with generational mental illness, right? And if you look at the history of the Turkic people, they went through war. There's a lot of destruction and war, and there's a lot of bad things that was happening in that country. So it's kind of embarrassing for the elders to not put any effort into covering their own Turkish kids. Trying to, and you come to North America now just because they see black people doing some work, you're ready to come throw your children on us. That's so unfair. That is not fair to society. And then he came here to Hollywood. It's so obvious, like he came here to Hollywood and he's trying to like blame me because like I didn't do something for somebody that I don't know. That doesn't make any sense, man. That's weird, man. That's weird. I just feel that's weird. Let's say there was like let's say there was somebody working for the city in an office, right? And you knew that person. You just knew that person, or not even. It's not even. That's not even the scenario. That's not even a scenario. Let's say somebody went to school, and they took a few courses, and they thought about taking a job working for the city, but they didn't take the job working for the city. So they never actually worked for the city, right? And just because like someone like Justin, he heard of maybe that person went to school and the person was thinking about taking the job to the city. The point is that you shouldn't have been watching. He shouldn't have been watching me so hard, the way how he's watching me. He shouldn't have been doing that. That's kind of odd. Those type of thoughts come from worthless people. That's worthlessness. That's very, very worthless. You sitting around watching someone. Well, when that person graduates from their course, then they'll get a job, and then I'll be able to go into their office, and then they'll serve me. Yeah, I need that particular person to serve me. That's weird. That's not true. That's not the truth. It's a lie. It's a lie. What Justin did to me is just not something to respect. I don't respect what he did. Doesn't make sense. I remember like growing up, there used to be, when you working in school, and then some teachers used to, well, back in the day, teachers never used to really quit. They're quitting now because the generation now is just not good. But back in the day, they never used to quit. They used to be in those jobs like 30, 40 years. And then sometimes, when the teachers used to get long breaks. They used to get like their vacation time used to be like 2 months at a time. So sometimes they used to hire those in Canada. I remember they used to hire some of the people from the military to work as substitute teachers. Oh my God. That was man. Ah, man. When you see that military guy roll up in the classroom, and all the kids sitting there all scared, and he's just staring at all the kids like, I have to be here because they're all bad and everything. But my point to make is that, Justin, you're just a liar, and you just need to get off my case. When it comes to generation, no, I'm not your inheritance. That's a lie. So can you imagine? He manipulated his way out of generation, trying to take someone else's inheritance. Even God Himself wouldn't approve of that. No, it's not true. Like, think about Washington, D.C. The only people who would qualify out of a generation to go and work in those fields out of a generation would be like people who came from families that were politicians, or people that it was an inheritance or lineage that was passed down generationally. People who actually have those gifts. What is Justin talking about? He's a liar. Now I feel like he's caught up now, because why do you think he's trying to go to Japan or some next bullshit like? That's so disrespectful. I don't like that, because I was watching some videos when it comes to Japan too, and the Japan started making a whole bunch of rules about how they don't want um certain people, too many tourists